gozando. Yo sigo ganando y sigo gozando.
Hola amigos, this is KRBrickBot, and Carbot Fron has finally been reissued. Not this one. Well, of course he was with the lineup when Carbot launched in Taiwan and Hong Kong, but here in Korea, Fron has not seen a proper re-release since 2015. His police mode did, but not regular yellow Fron. I guess that's because Fron is the least popular of the original Hyundai Carbots. I actually got this boxed set recently. I found this in a store. An actual brick and mortar store at a regular retail price. Not overcharged. I guess they had an extra box in the back room and then just got it out. And kind of evident by its smooshed bottom. But other than that, pretty great condition. All the promotional stuff of the early box days. Hyundai, KBS, a QR code, Avante Fron, 1/21 scale, Sonokong, 2014 Carbot Production Committee. Boy, do I miss those days. Again, the 1/21 scale, Avante right here and such. A description of the car, Hyundai Motors new Avante. The contents, the machine guns, and the cross product cell. Because these four were the very first Carbots ever. See, 2015. So with that said, here's the reissue. They completely redesigned it in an opaque style. And this is not just Fron minus Avante, this is facelift Fron. Looks like they modified more than just the logo on this version. TV and an actual 3D logo. A simple hexagonal background with some technical stuff in a bit. Carbot Fron. His quote. It's a clear shot of his new car mode. His bio. Looks like that exact same stock photo. Yeah, you can see more of the gridwork schematics. Carbot Fron, not Prawn or Prawn. On the bottom here, yeah, 2020 May. Dan Lee Toys. Okay, now to open this. Alright, so in one of those cardboard girders just like the Beast Carbots. All girded up. And it's taped in. Okay, I'll be right back. Yeah, it kind of looks like he's cuffed in there. Yeah, and he's packaged very awkwardly. So apparently Fron's Spanish because Avante. Now at first glance, both Frons look identical. Since the car front is on the legs, you can't instantly tell it apart. But the major difference I noticed with this thing is it all feels like really smooth plastic. I mean, just, you know, kind of greasy smooth. Yeah, this all feels smoother and it just feels more comfortable to handle. Yeah, I guess comfortable to handle for the little kids. I guess it's a slightly different plastic material. I guess, yeah, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but this blue just looks a little lighter. You can also see it in his rear bumpers. This is a much glossier black paint than this slightly matte black paint. The torso shape looks mostly the same. Yeah, I always kind of thought this kind of looks like an actual car front itself with that kind of grill-like thing and an oval shape that could fit any logo. Yeah, I guess I would imagine this would be the actual chest of a Cybertronian mode. And there's a little bit of unpainted blue here, which is accurate to the animation model, so props on that. The silver paint is a little rough here. They both share that very frilly looking and very narrow forward facing head with a little brim and a tiny little red faceplate. It kind kind of looks the red paint on his is a little thicker than this guy's. Yeah, but overall, yeah, that's very stylized head. You can probably just get some light piping in that tiny little hole of his. Yeah, once you hit that spot right, it really glows. The paint and part distribution for both of these seem a little unusual. That is, some of these parts are completely painted over, like these shins are completely painted red, and the side of the arms are completely painted blue, painted over white. Yeah, so robot mode wise, it still looks all very identical, like these little tabs on the arms with inevitable slightly pink on it because it all scrapes on the paint on the tab there. These really complex doors, like a double hinge, like a hinge here, hinge here, hinge here door. And also lends itself to an alternate configuration if you like that. They still have that very neat like inner working fans and wires and tubes and little frames. Kind of looks like the inner workings of a car just right split in there. Gives it a very nice, neat mechanical touch. And some yellow trim on the legs and a little circular indent inside that cavity. Inside the already hollow feet. Yeah, overall, yeah, Fron's design still holds up. And of course he comes with 2 machine guns. Packaged and tied on the side in the original packaging and in their little baggie in the reissue. So I assume they're different plastics. Yeah, it looks like this one looks a little pinker. Yeah, they still plug in that 5mm system. It's looking a little bit too tall for a pistol because it's essentially a handle on a handle instead of the handle being right up here, so I guess it'll look kind of awkward when held by others. In addition to that, you can also shoulder mount. Double shoulder mount. Or even weapon storage. Yeah, just right there on the leg holsters. You can't do it this way in the bot mode unless you do it like this way. Yeah, just little holsters. Articulation is the same for both of these. Full ratcheted shoulders, ratcheted elbows in that much. Outward that much. Get this out of the way to get more that much. Ball socket wiggle and a full 360. Forward that much. Back that much. Beautiful spreads. Thighs. And the transformational foot. And if the forearm and the hand were going to be separate pieces, I kind of wish that was actually a wrist swivel. And maybe a siege port if siege ports were invented way earlier. Alright, time to get him into his new car mode. I said this before, but this is still a relatively complex transformation for a kid's toy. I'm sure many of them did not realize this was part of the step, like just opening his waist and then turning his legs 180, then matching up those windows. Pretty complex stuff. And then you have to put in some force for those side tabs. Yeah, make sure this doesn't get in the way. It all feels very smooth, oily smooth. Then slide those doors in. And don't forget the guns, if you can get them in there in the first place. Almost every single outer shell part has been remolded. First, the subtle bits. For one, the door handles here are much bigger. And the original Avante has a silver trim to replicate that look across 4 pieces, but no silver trim here. And the rear view mirrors are also shaped differently. Like, yeah, there's a little notch on here this time. And the transparent plastic is really smokier and more opaque. Plastic, I mean, it is still transparent, but you can hardly see anything in there. You can see a little bit. Yeah, interesting choice of material. But I guess that will hide the inevitable kid scratches a little better than this thing. Yeah, even though this thing wasn't new or in good condition, it was already a little bit scratchy when I got it out of the box. A square petrol cap instead of the round one. Yeah, you would think the back, they would just remove the Hyundai logo, but they also added some more bits, like these 4 bumps, like those new rear view cameras. A much more pronounced rear, like for extra license plating, over in addition to the still signature cursive hello and Carbot there. Much longer tail lights. I'm sure those rear lights have been slightly tweaked, or maybe they're the same. I mean, these bits look a little more angular. And let's look at the wheels. Because those wheels haven't even been remolded slightly, as far as I can tell. There's like a little notch in there to make that space between the spokes a little smaller to differentiate it from actual Avante tires. One thing only adults will notice, I noticed in the early Avantes, is that it's like they can't exactly get the exact shade of yellow right. I mean, these look a little off compared to each other, just subtly. But still noticeable enough to be slightly nitpicky. I think the other Carbots had the luxury of separate colored paint pieces and over the cockpit, but this is just painted on, so there's bound to be some discrepancy. Well, I guess this one is slightly better, but although it's looking a little rougher on the paint. Now, for the face of the facelift. The easiest way to make a approximation of a real car without actually paying for a license is changing the grille. And that's done so substantially. Well, the upper grille looks very similar, just with the extra Carbot nose dimple. But the grille on the bottom looks much more concise and angled downward like that, and some extra diamond bumps. Yellow diamond bumps. The headlights remarkably look just about the same though. And there is a little bit of a raised ridge on top of here. Do any cars have this similar feature? But one thing I'll give it though, they actually painted in the black windshield wipers. It's a very subtle but very welcome touch. Okay, now I might be tempted to paint this up. And a little rectangular raised place for license stickers or marker scribbles. Also, this thing does not seem to want to stay together. This thing falls apart much more easily than the original Fron. Yeah, you gotta tug it a little bit. I guess this plastic is a little slipperier. Yeah, quite slippery. Yeah, but I'm not sure about his redesign, the lower grille. This car's shape of a grille kind of really defines its character, or it kind of looks like a face. So with the original Hyundai Avante, that lower grille just really looks like a little gentle smile, but the facelift looks like a rigid reluctantly turning the corners of his lips for a reluctant smile. They both still have that very bulgy knee, those silver knees, those silver prism knees with asymmetrical cuts. Incredibly likely points of scrapage. Why did they have to make knees like that? Oh yeah, and if you can manage to get your little fingers into there, I suppose you could put the pistols on top for a hidden attack mode. Or yeah, just right here, right there, the underslung attack mode. It's nice to see Fron reissued again, with just enough differences to tempt the variant collector. But it seems proven that its police form is more popular, so of course they released this at the same time as this Fron. Fron Police Car Facelift. Similar packaging, but really selling that red and blue police style. Light and sound. Looks like they used the exact same stock photos as with the previous releases. Oh look, a strangely ovoid logo shape there. I wonder what that could have been. And despite being the exact same mold, it's still a little wider because it still has to match that box specification of its early releases. Even though I don't think that's really necessary with the way this one is packed. Because the shield's right in front of him. It was off to the side in the early releases, but not this one, so really, I think they could have just made that box a little smaller. Oh, and it's upside down. So here's Facelift Fron Police. I already reviewed this back when the original, just slightly tweaked Fron Police came out, so its verdict still stands. The differences are exactly the same with the Facelift Fron, a smoother plastic and all sorts of minor modifications to the outer shell. I don't know why they didn't reissue Fron sooner than later, but at least he is now. As I said, his design still holds up. It's a pretty intuitive transformation and a pretty unique transformation and a pretty good car mode. Vibrant colors. So if you missed out on the original Avante Fron, yeah, this is the best get you're gonna get for the Fron again. Even though it's looking like a custom modified Avante. I kinda really hope that they make facelift versions of the other Hyundai cars. Hawk, Dandy, and especially Sky. The original Sky has not been really reissued either. I will review him. It's just that a character of this caliber deserves a special review. A subscriber special review. And I suppose this is the general direction they're gonna go with the $50 side price point. I know they might still do some window boxes and others. And the packaging's 99% paper recyclable. And or you can use this sturdy outer box as a storage box for your own Carbots. You could fit 3 of these cars in this one box. That's how much unnecessary space robot toys in general take up. In fact, Ugaba Captain and Goldorex Rescue have just been reissued in that new style of packaging. And I imagine the material will be similar to this and be slightly less shinier than this. Yes, I got Ugaba Captain through customer service, but they only exchanged his legs and torso. They said his arms were functioning fine. They don't look fine, but they were functioning fine, so I just removed them and I'm going to order those arms later. It kinda gives a nice feeling the very first Carbot characters still have that appeal today. They have relatively timeless designs in spite of their outdated Hyundai models. I mean, it's not like Toy Rock just announced completely new redesigns for these beloved characters for a boost in viewership and toy sales. Ay, caramba!
Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. So until next time, adios!